This is the 2026 Multi-Event Temporary License Renewal Training brought to you by the Peoria City County Health Department. This training course is designed for those who are renewing their multiple event temporary license or MET license and who have already completed the new vendor training class in a previous year. The entire training is virtual. There is a post-test that you will have to complete at the end of this training. And as a reminder, all people in charge must individually sign up and take this course. You can watch the video all together as a group, but each individual has to do the post-test in order to get the information for their training certificate. So how do you receive that training certificate? And as a reminder, this is the certificate that you will have to have on site as part of your binder that we will talk about later in this training. So first of all, you are going to finish watching this training video. In the video description, there'll be a link to go to the post-test. That will take you to a Microsoft form, which is your post-test. You do have to complete that post-test with an 80% or better. There's 10 questions, so you just have to get 8 of the 10 correct. Make sure that you include your name, your business name, and your email address on the form. That will be the exact information that is printed on your certificate. So don't spell anything wrong and put it in there exactly how you want it to appear on your certificate. You'll receive an email if you pass, and you'll actually receive one if you fail as well. And it'll just letting you know you passed or failed. And then I will email your training certificate to you. So I also receive a copy of that email, and it could take me a few days to get that training certificate, but you will either get it in an email or you'll receive it during your first inspection of the year. If you are doing this renewal training during the holiday season, I do tend to take more time off during holiday season. So if it's been more than 2 or 3 days, maybe just email us and say, hey, can I have my training certificate? And if I'm available, I will email it to you right away. So some general info about our MET license. This allows vendors with previous experience doing temporary food events the freedom to do an unlimited number of specifically 1 to 3 day events per year for one set fee. So originally when we created this license, we looked at vendors who were doing, it could be 60 to 90 temporary food events a year. And we were saying, oh my gosh, these people are paying us just a ton of money for temporary food events. We're going out and we are inspecting every single food event that they're doing, and it's, they're fine every time, or they maybe have like one problem that's pretty consistent. But we knew what to expect. And so we came up with this license in conjunction with our food safety work group in order to cut down the costs for you guys and to also save us some time where we didn't have to do so many inspections. So it was a win-win for all parties. But that is how this license came about. And again, it is only valid for 1 to 3 day events. You do have to have access to a licensed commissary. You have to have people in charge, certified food managers, food handlers, etc. So we do put a little bit more stringent requirements in place as opposed to our temporary food event license. You also have to remain in good standing. I don't think we've had to take anyone out of good standing at this point, so keep up the great work. And that good standing is for both food safety and administrative things like paperwork. Our temporary food event license rules apply to this license, and you do have to follow them at all times. The fees are the same as they've always been. We have never changed these fees since we've started this license. So if your commissary is in county, so in Peoria County, and you're doing only packaged foods, there's no on-site preparation, that is $325 per year. If you are doing on-site preparation, it's $650 per year. So if you are doing the math and trying to figure out if this license is still good for you, that is equal to about 12 temporary food event licenses per year. So if you're doing more than 12 temporary food events or are planning to in 2026, this license still would make sense for you. If your commissary is out of county and you're doing packaged foods only, so there's again no on-site preparation, that's $400 per year. And if you are doing on-site preparation, it is $800 per year, which is equal to about 15 temporary food event licenses per year. All right, let's talk a little bit about the renewal process. The renewal process is the same process that we used last year. So if you are a returning vendor, this process is exactly the same. If this is the first year renewing your Met license, please be aware that all licenses expire on December 31st. As of January 1st, you will need a new license if you plan on doing events right away in 2026. We do mail out applications, the renewal applications. Last year we did it in December. I believe this year we're planning on doing this sometime in November. So just be aware that that November, December timeframe is when we plan on sending that paperwork out. It's around the same time that we are sending out our annual license renewals as well. So you may get several pieces of mail from us with different bills for different licensing options in them if you have more than one license establishment. It is just a one-page application with a checklist, so it's pretty easy to fill it out and send it back to us. The application, supporting documentation, and the fee have to be submitted to us at least 15 business days before your anticipated 2026 opening. And we are aware most of you guys do not open right away in January. I think usually there is a farmer's market that occurs sometime in February, like a winter's market. That's usually most people's first event, late January, early February. If that's the case, just make sure you get everything to us as soon as possible. If you are a vendor that is waiting until May for the Riverfront Farmers Market to open, you can wait a little bit longer to submit that paperwork to us as long as we receive it before your 2026 opening. This is the one-page application, so you can see it's pretty easy to fill out, and this is an exact copy of what you should receive in the mail. This is a list of all the supporting documentation that you have to submit with your application. So again, you have to have that signed and dated application, your renewal fee, all layouts and menus for your temporary food stand if you've had any changes. So people change kind of the layout over time, or maybe they add to what they want to serve. That's completely fine. We just need to have updated layouts and menus for what you're doing. You have to submit copies of your certified food managers for all your people in charge. That's going to be except for people who are doing prepackaged food items. Make sure that you submit your itinerary and operating schedule as you know it at the time that you renew your license. You can obviously update that throughout the year. We also need a copy of your commissary agreement. So this is if you don't own your own commissary and you're using somebody else's licensed food establishment or a shared kitchen. We will need a copy of that commissary agreement. We also need to have proof that all of your people in charge have completed this temporary food event renewal course, which we would actually have that information in our office. When you all opened, we gave you a binder. I have a picture. This is the binder. It could be a different color, but we gave you a binder with all of the materials that you would need for to operate under this license. If you've lost your binder, that is a-okay, but please have all the information that we included in that binder with you during your event. If you still have your binder, fantastic. Make sure you please bring that with you and update your binder as you need it. So we include things like your current copy of your license, your certified food manager, the certificates for this class, your layout. We include a lot of things in that binder. So it is a requirement that you have to have all those items with you. The binder just makes it more convenient. If you did lose your binder, again, that's okay. I think we purchased these at the Dollar Tree back when it was $1. But for $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, you can actually go buy another binder and include all this information in this. It is really important that you do make sure that everything is up to date with the new year, especially your certified food manager, your allergen, and your food handler trainings. Those do have an expiration date on them, and we are finding that people are not updating them once they're expired, and then you don't have proof that you are currently certified. If you need additional copies of any of the things that were in your binder, any of the forms, the temp logs, that sort of thing, we do have all of that on our website. If you go to our website, which is pcchd.org, go under Environmental Health, Food Protection Program, Food Forms and Applications, and everything is listed under the Temporary Food Event, Multi-Event Temporary Annual License section. You should be able to find everything that you need there. And I will include a link to that in the description for this video as well. I just want to go over some common issues and some of the reminders for next year, for 2026. The first reminder is about itineraries. Itineraries have always been the biggest violation that we see every single year, and it seems to be the biggest recurring issue that we have. If you're going to be at an event, you need to let us know that you're going to be there. We would prefer that you let us know in advance as far as possible, but no less than 24 hours before the event. We know things happen. We know people lose whoever is supposed to be there and call you last minute and ask that you come. That's fine. Just please let us know. We do have an official form that you can fill out. You don't have to. You can just email us and say, hey, here's my business. I will be at this place at this date and this time. That is perfectly acceptable. If you don't submit your itineraries to us, you could be removed from good standing, and that may result in the denial of this license. And then you'll have to go back to doing the temporary food applications for every single one of your events, which will cost more money and it's more time consuming. So nobody really wants that. So please submit your itineraries. If we're seeing on Facebook that you're going to be at an event, that should have also been submitted to us in an email. And we are fine. Like if you just copy right from your Facebook the image or whatever you're using and email that straight to us, perfectly acceptable. You're not doing double work at that point. Just take a screenshot, whatever, and email it to us. That is perfectly fine. Just please get us the itineraries as soon as you possibly can. We want you to send the itineraries to our main environmental health email, which is eh@peoriacounty.org. Please do not submit these to individual employees. We have had problems in the past where either an employee leaves the health department for a new position somewhere else, and then your emails just kind of sit there and nobody ever looks at them. Or we have people who go on vacation or they're sick, and your email will just sit there in their box until they get back. So please email our at peoriacounty.org email with any questions, your itineraries, any sort of important information that somebody needs to know. Please email it to our main email address. There are multiple people who check that email throughout the day, so that is the best chance of having somebody respond to you is by using that email address. Cancellations. Obviously, things happen, right? The weather changes on a dime. Please let us know as soon as possible if you are going to cancel an event that you've submitted an itinerary for. We ask at least 2 hours in advance that you cancel. However, right, things happen, right? It could be a tornado, a thunderstorm, whatever, you have to cancel very much last minute, please just let us know, because if we have a staff person that is planning on doing your inspection that day, um, they can go do something else versus coming out to your event and not finding you there. So during normal business hours, which is preferable, that's between 8 and 4:30, please call our main environmental health office line. Again, please do not call individuals, call our main office line at 309-679-6161. If it's after hours, so it's a Saturday or Sunday, or it's after 4:30 and before 8 a.m., please call the main health department line, which is 309-679-6000, and select option 1. This should transfer you to a real human being that you're going to let know you've canceled this event. It shouldn't be a voicemail. It'll be somebody will actually pick up the phone, or should be actually picking up the phone. As a reminder, we are seeing this as a bigger up and coming issue. There has to be a person in charge at your event. That person has to be on site at all times of operation. That person in charge must also be a certified food manager, have allergen training, and have taken this course and have a certificate. We have many, many vendors who have one person that takes this course, and that's fine. However, you always have to be the person who is always at your stand. You cannot have anyone filling in for you. We have other vendors that have 15 employees take this course. That's completely fine, right? It's free, it's online, it's easy to do. The more certified food managers and the more people have taken this course, the better, in my opinion, because it grants you a little bit of leeway when it comes to who is manning that stand for you in case you get sick or go on vacation and that sort of thing. You are required to have certain paperwork on site. Again, we are seeing this becoming more of an issue during inspections. You're required to have your food license. You are required to have a certified food manager certificate that is valid, that has not expired. You are required to have the training certificate for this course for the current year and food handler certificates for all of your other employees. Again, that binder makes a really great place to store these things. Just make sure that you do have that paperwork with you. So if you also have a restaurant or a brick and mortar site that you're operating out of, you'll also need your certificate there. So just make sure that you are making enough copies of your certificate that you can have it in more than one location. Also, as a reminder, this Met license is only valid for one event at a time. So it's very rare, but it has occurred where there are two very popular events going on at the same time. So I know it seems like Moss Avenue sales is often going on at the same time as some other events. It's usually Father's Day weekend. It's a very popular weekend for events. So just be aware, this is only good for one event. If you want to do more than one event at the same time, you will need to get a temporary food event license for that second event. It's also only valid for one stand at the same event. So we do have some events that are large in space, and you may want two stands at that event. This license only covers you for one stand, and you'd have to get a temporary food license for the other stand. Historically, a lot of the violations that we see with this license have been paperwork based, they've been on the administrative end. However, we are starting to see some food safety issues occurring, which we've not had in the previous years. So I just want to go over two of those things really quick with you. One of them is making sure that you are using a food grade hose for any water. So if you have to fill up water using a hose, and that could be like if you have a tank of water or like your hand washing or your 3 compartment sink, please make sure that you are using a food grade hose. These hoses are made of different materials, so it won't put any chemicals in your water. The hoses are almost always white or white with a blue stripe. You can go to any like Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, and get one of these hoses. They're usually in the RV section. A lot of people use them for like campers or RVs. So please make sure that you are using a drinking water hose. A regular green garden hose, just it has too many chemicals in it and it can contaminate the water that way, which then would not be safe to use for food. We're also starting to see some issues with sanitizer. And this is an issue that we see in our restaurants for sure. And so, first of all, make sure you have sanitizer. Um, that's pretty easy, right? Hopefully, everyone knows you have to have sanitizer on site. That's part of those temporary food rules. The type of sanitizer makes a difference. So, if you're using a quaternary ammonia, those are, usually just buy a jug of quaternary ammonia, and that's a pretty easy thing to then mix. Bleaches are very tricky. And I will be honest with you, they are getting trickier and trickier and trickier. Not all bleaches will kill germs. There are a lot of bleaches that are only used for cleaning purposes and not as a sanitizer purpose. We're also seeing, especially some of the really big brand names, are rebranding some of their bleaches to be tricky. The labeling is very tricky. We used to say if it says disinfecting or kills 99% of germs, or any labeling that basically says it kills something, that it was fine. That is actually no longer the case. Some of these bleaches will say kills 99.9% of germs in the laundry. That also is not one that you can use then for food contact surfaces. So really look at your labeling if you're using bleach as a sanitizer. Like I said, they are very tricky in their wording, they're very tricky in their advertising. You need to have an EPA registered bleach. It should have instructions on it for using it for food contact surfaces. If it does not have instructions for how to use it for food contact surfaces, it most likely is not an approved bleach to use. And if you're unsure, please send us a picture of it. We literally, I feel like every single month are finding new chemicals that people are using as sanitizer that we've never seen before. And a lot of them are not approved. But again, they're tricky because they're all different variations of bleach. And if you just look at the front label, it looks like it should be fine until you read the manufacturer's instructions on it. All right, so those are the issues that we have been seeing. So let's talk a little bit about enforcement. Nothing has changed as far as enforcement goes, and I really don't think we've gotten past the first step of enforcement for any Met licenses at this point in time. So as a reminder, you do get one inspection monthly at a minimum, and those are only in the months of operation. So obviously we know that when it gets cold outside, many of you do not operate. So it's just any month that you are having an event that you're going to be at, we would inspect you. We do expect that violations be corrected immediately. However, if they cannot be corrected, your license could be suspended, especially if it's like for a really big issue, like not having sanitizer or not having a hand washing sink, that sort of thing. We will suspend your license. If we do suspend your license, you can request a reinspection for your next event where we would come out, we would reinspect you, we would reinstate your license. If your violation cannot be corrected on site, but it wouldn't cause a food safety issue, so let's just say like your certified food manager is expired or something like that, we would not suspend your license immediately for something like that. We would give you a time frame for follow-up that we would expect you to have it done by. And for all violations, continued noncompliance will result in compliance hearings or possible license revocation. And we have still never gotten to that point with this license at all. So keep up the good work. Our enforcement fees, if we do have to do any sort of follow-up, which like I said, this year we did have to start doing some follow-ups where we had not before with this license. Your first follow-up is going to be $50, your second is $70, and your third is $90. If for whatever reason we get into a situation where we are doing compliance inspections, those are $150 per inspection. And if we have to suspend your license and reinstate it, it's $250 before we would reinstate your license. We send out letters for noncompliance. So this is the first step in removing you from good standing. If you receive a letter from us, it's basically saying, hey, we've noticed this issue, it's sort of ongoing. If you don't correct it, we're going to move forward with license revocation or a compliance hearing and removing you from good standing. You may not be able to renew the license the following year. So if you do receive a letter, it should be sort of like, oh my gosh, I need to fix this, whatever this is. And I will be honest with you, most of our letters are for itineraries and people not having their itineraries submitted. So please make sure that you take whatever action necessary to come into good compliance so you can remain in good standing and continue receiving this license. If you have any questions, please call or email us. Our main line phone number is 309-679-6161, and our main email is eh@peoriacounty.org, and that could be for anything. We are more than happy to take your call. We are more than happy to take your email and answer any questions that you might have. Don't forget to click the link below in the description for this video for that post test. And so you get the certificate emailed to you after you complete the post test. Thanks and have a great day.